So today I'm going to create a video on the Elite Woodfire pizza oven and how I start my fire and get it up to the required 400 degrees to bake a Neapolitan style pizza. I've had a couple of questions from people who have the same oven who are having troubles getting it up to 400 degrees and doing that Neapolitan style pizza. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So the first thing I do is I sort of start here at the front and I build I think they call it a raft type fire. So I put 3 good sized logs at the bottom facing out towards me. I then cross stack in the middle here 3 more logs of good size on top of it, and then 3 more across the top. I stack it here at the front with these logs here facing forward, because then once I've built this raft here, I can then use my oven tools to push the whole stack back before I light it. Once I've got it stacked, I use my coal rake here, as you can see. I'm just using the coal rake here, and I'm going to push it as close to the back and the center of the oven as I can, just gently, so that I don't knock any of it over and have to rebuild it. And that's about as far back as it'll go before these logs here at the top, these ones here at the top, start hitting the back wall. So that's pretty good like that. So here are all the logs as far back as they can go. Now if you can just see there at the top, there is still a little bit of space between the roof and the top of the logs. So I'm going to try and just get one more log crisscrossed along the top there. Okay, so I've managed to stack one more log there on the top. It's about as far in as I can get it that my arm will reach in. Now I'm going to try and put 1 or 2 more logs on each side. Okay, and here is my final fire stack. So 3 logs along the bottom, 3 crisscrossed on top of that, 3 more on top of that, then 1 extra log placed right at the top, almost touching the top of the dome, and then 2 logs on either side on an angle. So when this flares up, this is going to give me good flames that will lick pretty much all of the dome, and it'll give me a nice, really intense bed of coals. Once the fire's done and the coals are running and the oven's up to temperature, then I will push it all to the back, and then as I cook my pizza, I will throw a fresh log on top 30 odd 40 odd seconds before I'm about due to throw pizzas in, which will continue to give me the rolling flame that you need to come over the top of the pizza, because that's the only way you're going to get the leopard spotting, is if you have those rolling flames. Then my preferred way to light the fire is to use some of these all natural wax fire lighters. I prefer using these, lighting 4 or 5 of them here just at the front, then putting them around the fire, normally like, you know, in gnarly spots like there where it'll catch all these little curly bits. I prefer using the firelighters to newspaper. I find that newspaper initially gives you just so much of that black smoke that goes everywhere, whereas these firelighters generally don't tend to give you all that black billowing smoke. So now we'll fire it up, get these firelighters going. There's my little handheld blowtorch thing that I got from the hardware store. Once I've got these a little bit of light, put them in various spots around the timber to help get things going. Okay, so I reckon 1 in here, just under that edge bit, because it's nice and gnarly there and the timber's all ripped up, so it should catch. Same with 1 in there. Anywhere where there's, you know, the sort of hairy broken bits of timber sort of catches pretty good. Get 1 in there. A lot of little gnarly bits there to catch onto. Probably put another one under there as well, because little broken bits of timber that will catch fairly easily. I might go with get this one here lit up a little bit more. Thinking one over here, there's a lot of little broken bits of timber over here on those logs. They should catch fairly nicely. So now what I'm going to do is I will leave that open like that for the timber to catch a bit. Once I see that it's caught a bit, I'm going to put the door in front and leave the door ajar about a third of the way, because I want to stop the breeze and the cold air getting in. But the fire does need oxygen to breathe, but it'll also stop excess smoke coming out the mouth and force it all up the chimney. I'll show you that shortly once the fire's caught a little bit. Okay, we're now literally about 2 to 3 minutes later, and you can see that fire definitely is running under its own steam now. Firelighters have done their job. Of course, it helps to have good dry timber. Nothing's really going to put that out now unless we get a stupid gust of wind, but even that probably won't stop it, or we splash a lot of water on. So now that that's up and running, just note that the roof of the oven, even with the light from the fire in there, is black. Now take a note of that, because that's going to be important later when I show you when you reach the right temperature how your dome should look. So we'll have a look at that later. Now, what I was saying earlier with the door is that I like to get the door, put it on and leave it ajar. So there's a couple of inches there open. That will let the fresh air in so the fire won't starve. And if you can just see in there now, the fire's actually burning probably a little bit better because it doesn't have the breeze and the wind going there throwing the flames around. So the flames now are going straight up, which is going to help the roof of the oven and ultimately the floor heat up faster, because when the roof gets hot, it will deflect the heat down onto the bricks, and so the whole oven will nicely heat up together. I'll try and get in there as close as I can. You can see how nicely those flames are now going straight up, and they're not flapping around. And the other good thing is at the front I've got no smoke coming out, because it's pushing all the smoke straight up the chimney, because the door's stopping any excess smoke coming out the front. So there's nothing coming out of the front, and there's your smoke coming out of the top. So I'm going to let that go now for at least half an hour on its own. Depending on what the temperatures are like and how that timber takes, to get the fire going takes me anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and 15. So yeah, we'll come back out in half an hour and have a look. This is what the fire looks like after about 15 minutes. You can see how beautifully those flames are dancing around, hitting the roof of the oven and really starting to get it warmed up. You can see they're just gently dancing around. They're not flapping around in any great pace. It's just a nice, gentle, relaxing type of fire. It's not a crazy fire. And that's aided because the door's a little bit in front, like I said before, so it's not getting stupid amounts of wind and breeze in there. With flames flapping around. So because the flames are going up nice and high to the top and curling around, it'll get everything heated up really well. And you can see every piece of timber there is alit. Our fire has now been going for about an hour. You can see how gracefully those flames are licking up everywhere. Now, most importantly, look at the roof. It's starting to get white, but the sides are still black. We will know that the oven is ready when as much of that black is gone, which is the carbon burning off, and it's turned white. So I'm going to let this go just a little bit longer now, for probably about another 10-15 minutes. Not all that black will burn off, but a lot more will. But you can see that the roof is white, and see how much more of it we can get up to temp. But also at this point, I'm just going to take some temperature reads to show you how we're going. We've got our laser gun here. Okay, so at the floor there, we're at 470, 480 already. Actually, it's saying it's too high and it's burning my hand this close. But I'm going to move back a bit. Okay, so at that point there you can see we're already at 420, 430, and right here at the mouth we're already showing 480s, 490s. Over on the side here we're showing about 350s. Down the back corner there, 380s, and up in that roof we're showing
500s. On the side here where it's black, where the carbon hasn't burnt off yet, we're showing 340s. So as you can see, the oven is getting up to temperature. We're going to let it go for about another 10-15 minutes, and then I reckon all over we'll be just about done here. And like I said, importantly, keep that door on and just slightly ajar. But when you want to move the door, make sure you've got a fire glove because it'll be stinking hot. There's no way you'll be able to touch that door. And you can see how graceful that fire is. Just quickly also want to show you how nicely those flames are rolling up around the roof. That's what you want, a nice graceful fire that's rolling right around there and getting that roof nice and white. Also, you look at the floor, you can see that the floor's nice and white, which means anything that was on there has burnt off and has become ash. And once again, nice white floor, nice white oven, means it's getting up to temp. It's really hot in there today, well over 450, so we are getting the temps that we need. Okay, so our fire now is pretty good, and you can see that the logs are pretty much now really just coals. If I just touch them, they're all going to break into coals. So we have a good floor temp. I'll measure it now. 430, 420, 450, 460 here closer to the mouth. And the roof temps, can't even read them because it's saying it's too high, which just means it's above 500, but 540 there, 500 there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push the fire right to the rear of the oven with the coal rake, and then I'm going to put 1 or 2 fresh logs on it to keep flames for when we make pizza. So here's our fire and coal beds now that I just crushed down with the rake, and I've pushed those to the back. There's more than enough room at the front to make 2 large pizzas without a problem. I'm now going to get a wet rag, an old, very old tea towel, wet it slightly, put it on the end of my coal rake, and I'm going to clean all those bricks at the front so there'll be no ash and nothing dirty getting on the pizza, so the bottom of the pizza will come out nice and clean. Now on top of that fire at the back there, I will throw on an extra little log, 1 on each side, to keep the flames rolling up and over for when I put the pizza in there, because you need flame to get the leopard spotting on the pizza. Okay, so here we go, the first Margarita of the night, Neapolitan style. Let's see how long it takes. So she's in the oven. Get my turner ready. Okay. See it bubbling up there already on one side. A bit hard doing this one-handed though, I gotta say. Holding the camera with one hand and trying to do the pizza with the other. Okay, we're 40 seconds in. We're 1 minute in. Seconds, give it a bit of a doming. And that's 90 seconds. 90 seconds Neapolitan pizza done in the elite wood-fired pizza oven over 400 degrees. Finished pizza.